So I need to get this half post attached to the wall, and that means first taking it down again, and then I'm going to begin by marking the center line of the wall onto the end of the wall. And because I have previously drawn the profile of the logs onto the back of the half post, that means I'm able to then get the corresponding line drawn onto the back of that half post. So what I'm now going to do is start cutting the groove in the end of the wall for the wedge shaped piece of wood to go in. So let's get going with all of that fun stuff. So in the last part I tried to explain what I was going to do here. I think I failed at that explanation, so here we go again. The bottom half of this groove is going to be wedge shaped to correspond with that wedge shaped piece of wood that I've got, and it's going to be going in there. But the top half of the groove is going to have to be a lot wider and won't be wedge shaped, so that I can put the piece of wood in and slide it down into that wedge shaped groove at the bottom. So just to recap this thing, I've got the wedge shaped piece of wood which is going to go in about here, but obviously because it's a wedge shape I can't put it in, so I had to make a bigger channel up here which I can then feed down. It's quite tight, but that's good. So then when that piece is lifted back up, I will screw through that into this piece of wood. Now that will pull that against the wall, keep it in position, but as the logs drop, this will be able to move so that nothing breaks, we don't get gaps opening up and all that kind of stuff. Now to make sure that I can definitely hit this wood and not this wood when I'm screwing through, what I'm going to do is that I've marked this line, which is the center line of where that piece of wood is. I'm going to drill with a long drill bit through a couple of points, one in the middle of where this log is, and one in the middle where this log is. Drill all the way through with a small but very long drill bit, so that when I put that up I can use that hole to guide through. It's also going to mean that once I've drilled that, I'll be able to measure how thick this is, because I really want to sink the attachment in a bit and be able to put some kind of plug there. But I'll be able to measure and know what length of screws I'm going to use, so that I can definitely hit that piece of wood and not go all the way through it. So I'll do the drilling. There, so we're 21. centimeters. Next one. Same again, 16, so 21. That makes life easy. And then of course I'm going to have to coat everything with the pine tar before I put all that together. So I'm attaching this on to that top log with one of these. I think it's called a lag bolt in America. Here they call it a tackiboltti. I'm going to drill a hole with the same 32mm drill bit, 10 centimeters deep, which is about halfway through this piece. That's a 30mm washer, so it'll go sit nicely into the hole. And then I will make a nice decorative plug to put in the hole. So I've got to drill 10 centimeters deep into there. So these are 20 centimeter long screws with washers. Washers are again 30mm, so I'll fit inside those holes. I've gone 4 centimeters deep on these holes. It was 21 centimeters the hole thickness. So these screws are 20 centimeters long, so that would already be 1 centimeter inside. I've added another 3 centimeters, so that I go 3 centimeters into that wedge-shaped piece in there. Just have to make sure I'm going through the same hole. Yep, that's good. Okay. And with that half post in place, it is of course time to move over to the other side and repeat the whole process. There may be a whole lot of wind noise, so I apologise for that, but just wanted to mention that I'm using the log scriber upside down at this point, and it can be used that way just as well. Normally it would be this way up, but all I did was just reverse the direction of where that is, so you can do it this way and draw underneath instead of on top, and then obviously had to reset this. But that's just wanted to mention that it can be used that way as well. Right, so it's in place, and just like with the other one, I drilled the holes through from the back side. So I've got the two holes here, and I've worked out the depth. I need to go to 7 centimeters deep here to make sure that I get that screw to go at least 3 centimeters, a little bit more than 3 centimeters into that vertical piece of wood, which is sitting over there. Damn it! Okay, let's take that down and put that in. Bottom hole 7 centimeters, so that's pretty simple. This top hole, because of this shape, I'm gonna have to go 12.5 centimeters deep to get to the level with this big drill bit, so that when I put the 20 centimeter screw in, the screw is going 3 to 3.5 centimeters into that vertical piece that I just put in, which is going to be pretty difficult because even though I drilled from behind, came through this way, it's very hard to keep that perfectly perpendicular to the wood, so there'll be a slight angle on this. Yeah, I'm actually going upwards, so when I'm doing the deep hole, I'll stop every now and again and just check that I'm following the right path. Let's get the smaller one done first. So the walls are up, the big posts in, and the half posts are on. Now I'm going to have to get a roof on this thing before the winter really hits. The roof supports that I'm using are 125mm by 50mm, or I guess you'd call them 2x5s. And those 2x5s are going to be spaced out at 60cm intervals, centre to centre, which means I'll be putting in horizontal braces in between them, which will be all 55cm long. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm doing now. I've started just laying them on, reinforcing it a bit, but I don't want to do an area that's too big. I want to get enough of an area, a size where I can still move the whole frame around, because as I start to see the angles, I work out where I'm going to be sinking these into the logs, how much. Now for instance, there's that, let me see if I can actually see it in the picture. Okay, so there's the bowed log. We've got about 8 centimeters of space between that log and the two middle supports, and obviously I want it touching down, but that means I've got choices to make. I could sink it in right at the front, sink those supports in, or sink them in at the back. Now I don't want to sink them in too much at the front, because that log coming down this side is obviously structurally very important. I don't want to weaken it more than I have to. So I'm thinking at this point I'll be lowering it down at the back. However, I need to know what the lines are going to be right out on these corners, because that's the difficult bit. And I don't want to go too deep there. It's the same long log. So I haven't sunk it in down here, because I want to see if I need to make a compromise and maybe sink a little bit at the back and a little bit at the front to bring those two supports down onto the bowed log. That would mean that I would probably need to sink down less when I get out to this corner over here and over there, obviously. But so that section's done. I can now find nice straight pieces and lay them over the top, and I'll start to get an idea of what the levels are going to be.